A serious incident occurred in São Paulo when a civil guard was confronted by two individuals while on his way home from work. During the encounter, the situation escalated rapidly. The officer fell from his motorbike and was injured, but still managed to respond and bring the situation under control. As a result, one suspect died at the scene, while the other was injured. The civil guard is currently recovering in the hospital after the incident, which happened following a long work shift. The civil police have taken over the case and are continuing their investigation to clarify all related details. It looked like a planned robbery, but they chose the wrong target. As a red car was parked, another black vehicle suddenly rushed in. The robbers jumped out immediately and charged straight toward the red car. They moved fast, expecting to take control in seconds. But they didn't realize one critical detail. The other side was ready. In a split second, everything changed. Their plan collapsed before it could even begin. What was meant to be a robbery ended instantly. They thought this couple would be an easy target, but they chose the wrong moment. Strangers suddenly approached, attempting to rob them and closing in fast. But the man didn't step back. He moved forward, standing between them and the woman he loved. Then something unbelievable happened. The attacker's weapon failed to fire. In that moment, everything changed. With no advantage left, the robbers hesitated, then quietly backed away and walked off. Video footage shows the victims bravely struggling with the attacker, fiercely resisting in an effort to protect their personal belongings. The tense confrontation continued for several moments before an off-duty police officer stepped in and intervened. Faced with the sudden response, the suspect quickly fled the scene in a waiting car. Although one French tourist suffered minor scratches to her neck during the struggle, authorities soon detained a suspect along with the vehicles believed to be connected to the crime. It started like a routine moment, but they chose the wrong target. A man stood beside his car, unaware he was being approached, but what they didn't know, he was trained and ready. The moment the situation escalated, he reacted instantly. Everything shifted in seconds. Two individuals thought they had found an easy target, moving in to take a vehicle in broad daylight, but they didn't realize. The owner was right there. In a split second, everything changed. The man rushed in without hesitation, grabbing one and pulling him away from the vehicle. Two suspects moved in as an elderly man was parking his car, trying to steal it in broad daylight. But before they could act, a street cleaner saw everything and charged straight at them without hesitation. In one decisive moment, his courage protected the elderly man, and justice prevailed. The incident unfolded when two armed robbers attempted to carry out a robbery against a phone delivery worker. The suspects had reportedly been tracking their target from a distance, waiting for the right moment to strike. However, their plan was abruptly disrupted. A police officer who was on active duty and also owned a nearby shop witnessed the robbery in progress. As the suspects threatened the delivery worker with a firearm in an attempt to steal the phones, the officer quickly intervened and opened fire. During the confrontation, one suspect was neutralized, while the second robber was overpowered and taken into custody at the scene. A dramatic incident recently unfolded in Brazil after a group of individuals was involved in taking a large amount of property. When their vehicle became unusable, they attempted to take another motorbike to continue their escape. However, authorities quickly arrived and closely followed the situation through the streets. Despite trying to abandon their vehicle and flee on foot, the group was unable to get far. Officers moved in swiftly and successfully brought the situation under control, detaining all individuals involved. A classic act of self-defense, captured on security camera. Two men were standing on the sidewalk when two robbers suddenly targeted them and moved in fast. But one of the victims had already read the situation and was ready. The moment the attacker rushed in, he didn't hesitate. In a split second, he reacted decisively and neutralized the threat. What was meant to be a robbery ended before it even began. Police in Cali quickly stopped an attempted robbery at a warehouse in the El Trebol neighborhood of Comuna Ocho. According to authorities, officers responded after receiving reports of suspicious activity at the facility. When patrol units arrived, they encountered several individuals allegedly attempting to break into the warehouse. Police immediately moved in to secure the area, preventing the robbery from being carried out. A tense situation unfolded when a group targeted an employee transporting company funds, waiting for the right moment to act. But they didn't expect one thing. The owner was present. With strong awareness, he quickly recognized the danger and acted without hesitation. His decisive response caught the group completely off guard. Within moments, their plan fell apart. A man was focused on unlocking his door, unaware that danger was approaching. Suddenly, a car sped in and stopped abruptly nearby. Two individuals quickly stepped out and moved toward him, creating a tense situation. But then, everything changed. A bystander rushed in at the critical moment, stepping forward to intervene and break up the situation. In just seconds, what could have gone wrong was prevented, and the man was kept safe. A surveillance video from Argentina shows a driver escaping a carjacking attempt by two motorcycle thieves. As one robber opened the car door and threatened him, the driver suddenly accelerated and broke free. Moments later, he turned back and rammed the suspect's motorcycle, forcing them to abandon the attack and flee. Watch this carefully. This is how dangerous these robberies can be. The suspects rushed in aggressively, jumping off their vehicle, pointing a gun, and taking everything they saw. They showed no hesitation, ready to pull the trigger if anyone resisted. In situations like this, safety must come first. Every reaction matters. But in this case, everything changed just in time. Police arrived quickly, moved in, and took the suspects down, rescuing the victims before it was too late. After carrying out the robbery, the suspects sped off on a motorbike, weaving through narrow streets trying to escape. But they didn't get far. Nearby residents quickly noticed and began chasing them. The pressure built fast. As police joined the pursuit. Despite their desperate attempts to slip through the streets, there was nowhere left to run. Moments later, they were caught. It started as a normal walk, but turned dangerous in seconds. A couple was approached by two suspects on bicycles, closing in fast with clear intent. One of them pulled out a gun and aimed at the victims. But the husband didn't hesitate. He struck back, kicking the attacker to protect his wife. At the same moment, she rushed in too, confronting the second suspect to defend her husband. A violent struggle broke out right in the middle of the street. But in the chaos, the robbers still managed to grab valuables and escape. The couple survived without injuries, but the suspects remain at large. The incident occurred on February 11, 2026, on a viaduct leading to the Vigilant neighborhood. Three suspects arrived on two motorcycles and attempted to seize a white pickup truck at the main entrance of an exclusive residential area. Security footage shows one of the assailants approaching the driver's door with a handgun. Within seconds, an armed escort inside the truck responded by firing multiple shots. The attackers quickly abandoned one of the motorcycles and fled on foot, while another accomplice escaped in the opposite direction on a second bike. When robbers tried to steal this man's motorcycle, he quickly backed off, creating distance as he assessed the danger. But once he reached a safer position, everything changed. He turned around and came back with purpose. This time, he didn't hesitate. In a sudden move, he fought back and confronted the robbers head-on. What they thought was an easy escape turned into a lesson they won't forget. A motorbike theft attempt was stopped after the owner and nearby residents quickly reacted to the crime. According to witnesses, the suspect tried to break the lock and steal the motorbike, but was slowed down by an additional security lock. The owner soon noticed the attempt and rushed outside to confront the thief. Hearing the commotion, several neighbors quickly joined in and helped restrain the suspect, showing their anger over the attempt to steal someone's hard-earned property. This is a textbook example of proactive self-defense. At first, the employee appeared to cooperate, staying calm to avoid escalating the danger, but he was waiting for the right moment. The second an opportunity opened, everything changed. He moved instantly, disarming the robber in one decisive action. At the same time, others nearby rushed in to help. Within seconds, the situation was under control, and the threat was completely neutralized. They found their stolen car and decided to take it back. A vehicle pulled up and several people jumped out, rushing to confront the suspect. What followed turned chaotic fast. The stolen car suddenly sped off, crashing into a bus and circling wildly in the street. The confrontation escalated, putting everyone nearby at risk. For a moment it felt completely out of control, but despite the chaos, no one was injured. While riding her motorcycle, a woman was suddenly approached by two attackers trying to take her vehicle. Outnumbered and at a disadvantage, she still didn't run. Instead, she fought back, holding on, refusing to let go no matter the pressure. The situation grew tense, but she didn't give up. And then, something shifted. People nearby began to step in, rushing to support her. Facing resistance from all sides, the attackers hesitated, then fled the scene. Three suspects attempting to carry out a robbery at a local store were discovered by nearby residents and quickly surrounded. Instead of backing down, people at the scene confronted the group and worked together to stop the crime. The suspects were overpowered by the crowd before they could escape. They thought they could get away, but everything fell apart in seconds. Two men attempted a robbery, then tried to escape on a motorcycle. But during the getaway, the passenger was shot, and suddenly fell off the bike onto the street. He was left lying there, unable to move. People passed by, saw what happened, and chose to walk away. No one stepped in. No one helped. What started as a crime ended in complete isolation. Security camera footage from a store located inside a residential condominium has prompted an investigation after capturing an uncomfortable encounter between a man and a teenage girl. After the footage began circulating, the man reportedly claimed the contact was accidental. Despite this explanation, the incident raised concern among residents of the condominium. Authorities are now reviewing the surveillance footage and gathering information to determine exactly what happened. The situation has also sparked discussions among residents about awareness and safety in shared spaces within residential buildings. It seemed like a routine moment, until everything escalated. Inside a store, a robbery suddenly unfolded as the suspect moved quickly, creating panic. He thought he had control, but he didn't. An off-duty officer was right there. In a split second, everything changed. The officer stepped in with precision, confronting the threat before it could go any further. A serious incident unfolded at a pharmacy in southern São Paulo, where security cameras captured the entire sequence of events. According to reports, two individuals on a motorbike entered the store in an attempt to take cash. However, the situation quickly escalated as military police units arrived and surrounded the location. A confrontation followed, causing damage to the storefront and creating a tense scene for those nearby. As a result, one suspect died at the scene while the other was taken into custody. Police have since recovered a weapon and the vehicle believed to be involved, and the investigation is ongoing. He came in with a plan, but faced someone who was ready to end it. A man riding a red motorbike bravely struggled with the suspects who were trying to steal his vehicle. His resistance quickly drew the attention of people nearby. Within moments, several bystanders rushed in to help. The crowd surrounded the suspects and prevented them from escaping. As the robber approached with a blade, the man stayed calm, signaling his two friends to move away from danger. He waited, watching for the right moment. And the second the attacker lost focus, he struck. One fast, decisive punch left the robber stunned. That single moment created a critical window. Just enough time for his friends to get to safety. An unusual incident in Itapolis drew attention after a man stole a mobile phone from a store but returned just 20 minutes later. According to reports, the suspect quietly took the device and left the shop. However, he soon came back and handed the phone to the owner, along with 200 Brazilian reais, claiming he had only borrowed it to complete a financial transaction via SMS. Experts recommend that victims in similar situations report the incident to police and check their devices carefully to ensure their personal and financial information remains secure. It started like a normal moment, until tension took over. The suspects acted boldly, convinced no one would step in. For a moment, it looked like they had control. But then, everything changed. Police arrived faster than anyone expected, almost like a scene out of Fast and Furious. In seconds, the situation flipped. A routine surveillance feed turned into a crucial breakthrough after the Iquique Municipal Alert Center detected suspicious activity near the coastal area. Operators quickly flagged the behavior and alerted authorities in real time. Responding officers moved in fast, tracking the suspects with the help of camera footage. Within a short time, police were able to locate and apprehend those involved, demonstrating how surveillance technology played a key role in stopping the situation before it escalated further. They thought they could break in and get away, but they chose the wrong house. An attempted robbery quickly turned into a confrontation when a national police officer stepped in. Everything escalated in seconds. During the clash, one of the suspects was injured. The other tried to escape, but didn't get far. Thanks to the officer's rapid response, the situation was brought under control, and the suspect was taken into custody. Raising a pet dog can be a great way to add an extra layer of protection for your home. Dogs are naturally alert and loyal, often barking to warn their owners when strangers approach or something unusual happens. He thought he could intimidate everyone, but something unexpected happened. During the confrontation, the robber took a direct hit from a helmet. A solid impact, enough to shake anyone. But somehow, he just stood there like nothing had happened. A U.S. Marine Corps veteran is being credited with stopping an armed robbery at a gas station in Yuma after disarming a teenage suspect in a split-second intervention. According to the Associated Press, James Kilker was speaking with a store clerk on Wednesday when a teenage suspect entered the gas station, accompanied by two others. The suspect pointed a gun at the clerk, focusing his attention on the counter, unaware of Kilter standing nearby. It was definitely not what I was expecting, but you always have to be ready for that kind of stuff, Kilser told the Yuma Sun. Kilser, now a civilian employee at the Yuma Proving Ground, said he quickly assessed the situation, checking the suspects for additional weapons. "I scanned them and didn't see any," he said. "I knew he was my guy at that point." Without hesitation, Kilker rushed the suspect, grabbed the firearm, and struck him in the face with a bag of drinks. He then restrained the suspect from behind, holding him at gunpoint as the two accomplices fled the store. An attempted robbery involving a luxury Porsche was stopped in the Sacoma area of São Paulo after an off-duty police officer intervened, authorities said. According to police, the officer was inside a nearby barber shop when he noticed suspicious activity unfolding on the street. Realizing the vehicle's owner was being threatened, he immediately stepped in. Police reports indicate the suspect ignored repeated commands to drop his weapon. Facing an imminent threat, the off-duty officer opened fire to stop the attack. The suspect was transported to a hospital, but later died from his injuries. The Porsche's owner was not injured. Legal authorities confirmed the officer's actions were consistent with lawful self-defense under Brazilian law. Officials also commended the officer for acting decisively to protect a civilian despite being off-duty. A woman identified as Claudia recovered her stolen backpack after chasing down and restraining a suspect in Woodland Heights, according to local reports. The incident occurred while Claudia was writing at a cafe when two female suspects allegedly took her backpack, which contained personal documents, including her passport. She immediately pursued the suspects outside. Authorities said Claudia, who maintains regular physical training, was able to catch up to one of the suspects and restrain her on the street, allowing her to recover the stolen property. A theft suspect was arrested shortly after allegedly stealing merchandise from a retail store, authorities said. According to store officials, the individual entered the business, removed a security sticker from an item, concealed it, and left without paying. The incident was captured on surveillance video. Police officers located and detained the suspect minutes later and returned him to the store in handcuffs. A widely shared video has renewed attention to the importance of situational awareness, particularly for individuals walking alone. Safety experts note that staying alert to one's surroundings can help people recognize potential threats early, whether they involve being followed, approached aggressively, or targeted for theft. Identifying unusual behavior and responding quickly may reduce the risk of harm. Officials emphasize practical safety measures, such as moving toward well-lit or populated areas, entering a nearby business, or contacting someone for assistance when feeling unsafe. The driver was slowly pulling his SUV into position outside his home when one motorbike suddenly swept in, cutting off the space around him. In an instant, one of the riders raised a gun and aimed directly at the driver's window. What was meant to be a routine arrival turned into a dangerous standoff. Without hesitation, the driver shifted into reverse and escaped safely. Two young men, aged 18 and 19, were detained Thursday morning after allegedly attempting to steal a chain from an elderly man in Santos, authorities said. The incident occurred on Avenida Doutor Epitácio Pessoa, as the victim was leaving a bakery. According to reports, the suspects approached the man while riding bicycles and attempted to take the chain. During the incident, one of the suspects was restrained by bystanders until officers from the Municipal Civil Guard, alerted by the city's Operational Control Center, arrived at the scene. A robbery was reported in the Morumbi district of São Paulo, where a worker was assaulted and robbed by two suspects on a motorcycle. According to preliminary information, the suspects approached the victim, snatched his gold chain, and physically attacked him before attempting to flee the scene. An off-duty municipal guard, who was inside a nearby vehicle at the time, witnessed the incident and chose to intervene. Pursuit ends in fatal crash. During the ensuing pursuit, gunfire was exchanged. One of the suspects later died at the scene after crashing into a truck. The second suspect managed to escape and is currently being sought by authorities. Officials noted that similar crimes have been reported in the area and investigations are ongoing to determine the full circumstances of the incident. Authorities are investigating two consecutive armed robberies believed to have been carried out by the same group in the southwest zone of Rio de Janeiro. In the first incident, an off-duty police captain was injured while attempting to intervene in a robbery in front of his family. Shortly afterward, the suspects approached another off-duty officer who was with a child. The second incident ended with one suspect seriously injured during the confrontation. Police have recovered a firearm with an erased serial number and a stolen motorcycle believed to have been used in the crimes. Officers are now checking hospitals and medical facilities in the area in an effort to locate the injured suspect and continue the investigation. A robbery attempt at a liquor store in western São Paulo was quickly disrupted thanks to the swift reaction of an off-duty police officer. According to authorities, two suspects entered the store with the apparent intention of carrying out a robbery. However, an off-duty officer nearby noticed suspicious behavior and intervened, prompting a confrontation that forced the suspects to flee before completing their plan. The suspects abandoned a vehicle equipped with false license plates. Inside, police recovered rope restraints and a mobile phone, now being examined as evidence. A rapid response by police in Popayan led to the arrest of a suspected offender in the Santa Ynez area who was reportedly linked to a previous theft. Authorities confirmed the individual was taken into custody and transferred to the appropriate judicial authorities for further investigation and legal proceedings. Officials emphasized that coordinated patrol efforts and timely reporting played a key role in the apprehension.
Mírame, mírame, mírame. Mírame, mírame, mírame. Listo. Ladrón cogido en el barrio Santa Inés. Estaba robando en motocicleta. Y varias veces lo han visto por aquí. Pero mira, poner la cara, te escondas. Da la cara, te escondas. Te escondas, bro. Muy bien, la reacción de la gente. Lo cogieron con arma blanca.
A shocking attempted robbery was caught on camera in Caseros, Buenos Aires province, Argentina, near Esteban Merlo Street and Hornos Street. A driver had just dropped off a friend and was waiting with the engine running when another car suddenly blocked the road. Two armed suspects jumped out, one aiming a gun at the driver, while the other threatened his friend from behind. Seeing the danger, the driver reacted instantly, accelerating onto the sidewalk and nearly running over the armed attacker. A routine moment at a gas station suddenly turned tense when two suspects on a motorcycle attempted to rob a station employee. A nearby bystander quickly realized what was happening and rushed in to intervene. Without hesitation, he confronted the suspects and managed to capture one of them on the spot. A dramatic incident captured on video shows a man making a bold decision to intervene in an apparent robbery by using his own car to stop the attackers. According to the footage, a woman appears to be in danger as suspects attempt to carry out the robbery. At that moment, a driver nearby decides to act. He accelerates his vehicle and drives directly toward the suspects, forcing them to scatter in panic. The sudden intervention causes chaos at the scene and gives the woman a chance to escape the dangerous situation. Two suspects riding separate motorcycles approached a car just as two women stepped out, clearly intending to rob them. The situation unfolded quickly, placing the women in immediate danger. At that critical moment, a nearby man stepped in without hesitation to protect them. Believed to be a former serviceman, he quickly drew his firearm and chased one of the attackers, successfully stopping and neutralizing the suspect. An attempted robbery at Bullseye Gun, Gear, and Pawn in Murfreesboro was swiftly stopped thanks to the quick reaction and coordination of store staff and bystanders. According to initial information from authorities, the suspect entered the store posing as a regular customer before attempting to steal property and firearms and flee the scene. Store employees responded without hesitation, chasing the suspect and, assisted by others on site, subduing the individual in the parking lot. During the pursuit, a female employee activated the store's emergency alarm, immediately alerting police. Officers arrived within minutes and arrested an additional suspect, bringing the incident to a close. No injuries were reported. Police continue to investigate the case to determine the roles of those involved. Officials said the incident highlights the high level of alertness and preparedness among business owners and staff, whose decisive actions prevented the robbery from succeeding. A brazen robbery took place at a funeral home in São Paulo, Brazil, while a family was gathered to mourn a deceased loved one, sparking public outrage. According to reports, two suspects entered the funeral home and restrained several people inside. The situation escalated until a staff member, a former security guard with prior experience, intervened and fought back, managing to detain one of the suspects. The second suspect fled the scene and remains at large. Police arrived shortly afterward and arrested the detained suspect following a physical confrontation. A burglary was interrupted when homeowners unexpectedly returned to their residence, leading to a direct confrontation with the suspect. According to reports, the suspect had entered the home, believing it was unoccupied, and was gathering valuables when the homeowners arrived. The intruder was caught inside the property before he could escape. A young male resident confronted the suspect, quickly taking control of the situation. Authorities were notified and are reviewing the circumstances surrounding the case. An armed robbery was reported in the southern region of São Paulo, where a motorcyclist was ambushed by 4 suspects in broad daylight. Video footage shows the group surrounding the victim and assaulting him in an apparent attempt to steal his belongings. The attack unfolded in the middle of a public street. The incident was interrupted when a nearby resident discharged a firearm, prompting the suspects to flee the scene. The motorcyclist was able to escape without further harm. Authorities have not confirmed any arrests. Police are investigating the case and reviewing the footage as part of ongoing efforts to identify those involved. Officials also acknowledge concerns over reports of organized groups carrying out similar vehicle-related robberies in the area. A powerful explosion shattered the early hours in Manaus after 2 brothers allegedly used explosives to break into a lottery store in a daring robbery. Police identified the suspects as Miguel and Josine Cruz, who are accused of detonating an explosive device to breach the premises before stealing approximately 4,600 Brazilian reais. Authorities said the suspects were tracked down and surrounded in the Santa Etelvina neighborhood following a coordinated operation. Both were taken into custody without further incident. Investigators confirmed that surveillance footage captured the entire attack, including the moment the explosion tore through the storefront. Police added that the suspects admitted the stolen money had already been spent by the time they were located. The investigation remains ongoing as authorities examine whether the pair may be linked to other similar incidents. 2 robbery suspects were arrested by city police in Heredia after being caught in the act during an armed robbery. The incident occurred on Wednesday evening in San Antonio de Belém. According to store surveillance footage, the suspects entered a convenience store and threatened those inside with a handgun. However, the robbery attempt quickly collapsed when a police patrol vehicle arrived just seconds later. 2 officers immediately intervened and detained both suspects at the scene. According to surveillance footage, suspects entered the store and attempted to intimidate staff in what appeared to be an effort to carry out a theft. The on-duty security guard quickly identified the threat and responded. The intervention disrupted the attempt, and the suspects fled the scene before obtaining any property. A sergeant with the San Jose Police Department was shot in the head during a chaotic confrontation in downtown San Jose on January 22nd, following what authorities described as an armed carjacking and multi-county crime spree. According to officials, the sergeant sustained a skull fracture after being struck by gunfire from the suspect. Despite the injury, he returned fire and continued engaging during the incident. He was initially listed in critical but stable condition and was released from the hospital the following day. Authorities described his survival as fortunate. The suspect, identified as a 30-year-old man from Davis, California, was killed at the scene. Police said the suspect fired at close range after crashing a stolen vehicle and attempted to carjack a patrol unit. Officers returned fire during the confrontation. Authorities confirmed the suspect was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities in Callao successfully thwarted an attempted robbery at a branch of the Banco de la Nación, capturing the suspects before they could carry out the crime. According to official reports, several individuals attempted to target the bank, but a rapid police response prevented the situation from escalating. Images released from the scene show officers detaining the suspects following the intervention. Law enforcement quickly secured the area and took those involved into custody. No major injuries were reported during the operation. An attempted robbery unfolded in Concepcion when a young man, who had stopped his motorcycle to use his phone, was suddenly approached by two suspects. Thanks to his alertness, the victim quickly put away his phone and tried to flee. However, his motorcycle initially failed to start, placing him in a vulnerable position. The suspects acted aggressively, chasing him and throwing objects in an attempt to intimidate him. The situation shifted when a white car passing by noticed the incident and intervened, prompting the suspects to flee the scene. Witnesses reported that the individuals appeared highly erratic and willing to take serious risks. Fortunately, the incident ended without major injuries, and the victim received assistance from nearby residents. A brazen daytime robbery unfolded in San Martin when two thieves attacked a woman on the street and attempted to snatch her purse. Witnesses say the suspects moved in quickly, yanking the victim's bag with force and dragging her to the ground. Her screams shattered the neighborhood's calm, drawing immediate attention from nearby homes. Within moments, residents rushed outside, armed with whatever they could find, brooms, wooden sticks, even their bare hands. Neighbors confronted the attackers without hesitation. As the suspects tried to flee on a motorcycle, they lost control and crashed into the curb amid the chaos. What followed was a dramatic confrontation. Residents surrounded the pair, chasing and physically struggling with them to prevent their escape. The thieves' getaway plan collapsed under the force of swift and united community action. A robbery attempt in the Encantado neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro's North Zone quickly failed when suspects targeted an armored vehicle. During the incident, one of the attackers reportedly fired a shot into the air to intimidate the occupants. However, the reinforced vehicle prevented the criminals from carrying out the robbery. An armed robbery attempt near the U.S. consulate in São Paulo ended in gunfire after police officers happened to pass by and intervene. According to authorities, two suspects approached a couple walking along the sidewalk and threatened them with a firearm in an attempt to steal their personal belongings. The robbery was unfolding just steps from the consulate when officers traveling nearby on their way to a meeting noticed the suspicious situation. Realizing a crime was in progress, the officers quickly intervened. During the confrontation, police opened fire, striking one of the suspects. The wounded suspect was transported to a hospital, where he underwent surgery before being formally placed under arrest. His accomplice managed to escape the scene and is currently being sought by authorities. A dramatic robbery at a mobile phone store in Villa Mela, Dominican Republic, ended in violence after the shop owner opened fire to defend himself. According to reports, two suspects stormed into the store and began damaging property while attempting to carry out the robbery. The situation quickly escalated as the attackers tried to seize valuables before fleeing the scene. However, the plan took a sudden turn when the store owner responded with a firearm in an attempt to protect himself and stop the robbery. An armed robber attempted to break in and attack a man who was cleaning, but the situation quickly took an unexpected turn. After noticing the threat, the man acted quickly and locked the door, trapping the attacker inside. As the robber panicked and tried to find a way to escape, he accidentally left his weapon behind. A shocking incident unfolded at a car wash in southeast Melbourne when a woman became the target of a violent carjacking attack. The victim fought back with remarkable determination after the assailant struck her on the head with a weapon. Fortunately, several brave bystanders intervened just in time, helping police track down and arrest the suspect on a nearby bus. The attack has ignited widespread anger within the local community, where concerns over rising crime and the perceived failures of the current justice system continue to grow. Residents voiced frustration over lenient bail rules, saying they no longer feel adequately protected and are being forced to defend themselves from ever-present threats. A carjacking attempt was thwarted late Wednesday night in Maipú after a local resident reacted decisively to an ambush, authorities said. The incident occurred around 10 p.m. in the Villa Los Errázuriz neighborhood, near the intersection of Centaurus and Isabel Riquelme, according to security camera footage. Video shows the driver of a pickup truck preparing to park when at least 6 suspects exited a white vehicle and rushed toward him. One of the suspects pointed a firearm at the driver at close range. Instead of surrendering, the driver waited briefly before accelerating and ramming the suspect's vehicle from the side, reportedly injuring one of the attackers. As the group attempted to flee, the driver reversed and struck the vehicle a second time. The suspects then escaped the scene. Authorities in Tulare County have taken one adult man and 2 young men into custody after an attempted armed robbery was stopped before it could turn violent. According to law enforcement officials, deputies were dispatched after receiving reports of a robbery in progress involving suspects believed to be armed. Thanks to the swift response, officers quickly located the suspects in the area and moved in to contain the situation. All 3 individuals were detained without further incident. A suspect was arrested after allegedly breaking into a motorcycle shop and attempting to steal a high-value bike, authorities said. Police reported that the individual entered the store and tried to start one of the motorcycles but was unsuccessful. While the attempt was in progress, a patrol unit in the area noticed suspicious activity and responded promptly. Officers intervened and apprehended the suspect at the scene without further incident. A robbery attempt at a retail store ended abruptly after the owner defended himself against an armed suspect. According to reports, the suspect entered the store pretending to be a customer before suddenly threatening the owner and demanding money. The situation escalated within seconds. The store owner responded by grabbing a baseball bat and confronting the suspect. A woman has been detained after allegedly using a stun gun against a sales clerk during an attempted theft at a mobile phone store in Volgograd, authorities said. Surveillance footage shows the suspect examining a mobile phone before attempting to leave the store without paying. When confronted by the clerk, she reportedly produced a stun gun and discharged it at the employee in an effort to escape. The suspect was restrained at the scene and later taken into custody by police. A suspected street attack was stopped after police officers arrived at the scene within moments of the confrontation. According to reports, a young woman was walking alone on a dimly lit street when a man exited a parked vehicle and approached her. The situation escalated quickly as the suspect allegedly attempted to overpower her. Before the attack could continue, a patrol unit arrived in the area. Officers intervened immediately, restraining the suspect and placing him in handcuffs. The woman was not physically injured, but was visibly shaken by the incident. Police ensured her safety while taking the suspect into custody. Authorities have launched an investigation into the case. A robbery attempt at a gas station was disrupted after a police officer intervened during the incident, authorities said. According to reports, the suspect entered the location and attempted to carry out a theft. The situation escalated when the officer responded immediately, preventing the crime from progressing further. Video footage circulating online shows the confrontation unfolding rapidly. The suspect's plan collapsed during the encounter, and the individual was later taken into custody. Surveillance footage reveals a carefully planned store theft in which suspects allegedly used deception to distract employees and steal two high-value bulldogs. Video shows a man collapsing inside the store, appearing to suffer a seizure. Staff immediately rushed to assist him, focusing their attention on the apparent medical emergency. While employees were distracted, an accomplice quietly removed two bulldogs, each valued at up to $4,000. The incident resulted in a significant financial loss. Authorities later recovered one of the stolen dogs after it was sold at a reduced price to an unsuspecting buyer. The individual accused of staging the fake medical episode has been arrested. What began as a routine day inside a small neighborhood store quickly turned tense when two suspects rushed in, issuing threats and demanding cash from the owner's wife behind the counter. Within seconds, the atmosphere shifted. Recognizing the immediate danger, the husband stepped in and reacted decisively, confronting the intruders. Documentary footage has revealed the investigation and eventual capture of Dennis Galdino, described by authorities as one of Brazil's most notorious ATM theft masterminds, with a criminal career spanning nearly 20 years across multiple states. According to investigators, Galdino allegedly played a central role in sophisticated ATM break-ins, including disabling security systems to facilitate large-scale thefts. Beyond direct involvement, he was also accused of acting as a strategist and mentor, training other criminal groups in advanced methods designed to bypass alarm and surveillance systems. To evade detection, authorities say he operated under multiple false identities, reportedly causing significant harm to individuals whose personal information was misused. Investigators believe Galdino fled to Colombia at one point, where he allegedly continued illicit activities before eventually returning to Brazil. A coordinated law enforcement operation ultimately tracked him down in Rio de Janeiro, where he was arrested while in hiding. Officials state that his capture represents a major step forward in dismantling networks connected to organized ATM theft operations nationwide. An attempted armed robbery in the Los Almendros neighborhood of northern Cali ended with the death of a suspected attacker after he confronted a security officer from Colombia's National Protection Unit, UNP. According to authorities, the bodyguard had briefly stopped his vehicle on the street when a young man approached and allegedly tried to intimidate him with a firearm in an attempt to carry out a robbery. The officer quickly reacted, drawing his weapon and firing several shots, leaving the suspect fatally wounded at the scene. Police later confirmed the deceased was a Venezuelan national. A robbery incident occurred at a store that had been operating normally before the situation suddenly escalated. According to reports, an armed suspect confronted the store owner, leading to a tense confrontation inside the premises. During the incident, a female employee collapsed and lost consciousness at the scene. Initial reports later indicated that she had fainted due to extreme fear during the frightening situation. She was quickly transported to a hospital for medical evaluation. Doctors confirmed that her condition was stable, and she was discharged the following day after receiving care and rest. The suspects approached the guard in an apparent attempt to rob him. During the confrontation, the security guard fought back and managed to stab one of the attackers in the left rear side of the neck. What looked like an ordinary afternoon inside a bustling shopping mall exploded into panic when 4 thieves executed a coordinated ambush on a jewelry store. At first, 2 of them slipped in posing as regular customers, but within moments, 2 more stormed through the entrance, flashing weapons and ordering employees to surrender high-value merchandise. Surveillance cameras captured the chaos as staff were threatened and display cases were shattered in seconds. The criminals believed the operation was fully under control. They were wrong. The heist unraveled the instant a highly trained security guard stepped out from a restricted area, calm, composed, and ready to intervene. His sudden appearance shifted the balance instantly, catching the thieves off guard and bringing their easy money fantasy to an abrupt end. A robbery involving a group of young men broke out in the parking lot of a convenience store, escalating into a dangerous shooting incident. According to reports, before gunfire erupted, the group allegedly entered the store while armed, threatening customers and attempting to steal property. The store owner said the suspects are frequently seen in the area carrying weapons, despite posted no-weapon signs. The confrontation later spilled into the parking lot, where multiple gunshots were fired in a densely populated residential area. Despite the gunfire, no injuries were reported. Authorities confirmed that no suspects have been arrested, and the investigation remains ongoing. A late-night armed robbery at a New Orleans convenience store turned deadly after a store employee fired his weapon in what authorities have ruled as self-defense. Police identified the deceased suspect as Cecil Batiste, who allegedly entered the store alongside an accomplice and threatened employees with a firearm. Investigators say the clerk, fearing for his life, drew his own weapon and fired, striking Batiste. He collapsed at the scene and was later pronounced dead. The second suspect, also 18 years old, fled the store following the shooting. Authorities later arrested him after he sought medical treatment at a local hospital. He now faces multiple felony charges in connection with the attempted robbery. Delivery workers are being reminded to remain vigilant following an attempted theft targeting a beverage shipment. According to reports, a group of suspects approached during a delivery and attempted to steal beer while the driver was briefly distracted. The suspects moved quickly in what appeared to be an opportunistic attempt. An attempted robbery was cut short after police intervened during the incident and arrested 2 of the suspects at the scene. According to reports, 2 individuals entered a store by riding a motorcycle directly inside before dismounting and displaying weapons in an apparent effort to intimidate those present. The situation escalated quickly, but officers arrived while the incident was still unfolding. Both suspects were subdued and taken into custody within moments. An attempted robbery was captured on security footage Thursday morning, January 30th, in the Teresina Sul neighborhood of Teresina. According to reports, a red car pulled up near a group of women standing outside a residence. A man exited the vehicle and approached them in what authorities describe as an attempted robbery. The footage shows the women reacting immediately. 2 ran inside the house while another fled on foot, preventing the suspect from carrying out the crime. Police are reviewing the images and investigating the incident. A street robbery captured on surveillance footage in Colombia has drawn widespread attention online after bystanders intervened while one companion hesitated. The video shows a couple standing near what appears to be a bank or currency exchange entrance when a man approached them with what appeared to be a knife. The suspect attempted to cut the strap of the woman's backpack. Footage shows the woman resisting, pushing and struggling against the attacker. The man accompanying her stepped back during the confrontation and did not initially intervene. Moments later, another man ran toward the scene and struck the suspect with a motorcycle helmet. Additional bystanders quickly joined, helping to overpower the attacker and remove him from the area. A brazen robbery attempt unfolded in São Bernardo do Campo, Brazil, when 2 motorcycle-riding criminals tried to target passing vehicles. The situation took a sudden turn when one suspect approached a black car, unaware that a plainclothes security officer was inside. The officer immediately responded, stopping the attack and forcing the second suspect to flee the scene. The injured suspect was transported to a hospital under police supervision. At the scene, authorities recovered a weapon and the motorcycle used in the crime. Officers are actively searching for the second suspect. The incident highlights the ongoing risks of street robberies and the critical role of security forces in preventing further crimes. An attempted robbery at a mattress store escalated into a tense confrontation when the store owner acted in self-defense. According to preliminary information, suspects entered the store with the apparent intention of committing a robbery. The situation quickly intensified, prompting the owner to respond to protect himself and the property. The confrontation resulted in the suspects being subdued at the scene before they could flee. A daring robbery attempt at a pharmacy in Brazil ended almost as quickly as it began, after officers responded with remarkable speed. According to initial reports, suspects entered the store intending to take cash and merchandise, startling both staff and customers. However, before they could carry out their plan, police units arrived on scene and secured the area. All individuals involved were detained before managing to escape. Authorities credited the swift response for preventing the situation from escalating and ensuring the safety of those inside the store. An attempted street robbery took an unexpected turn when a man fought back against two suspects who targeted him and his partner while they were walking. According to reports, the attackers approached the couple intending to steal their belongings. However, the male victim quickly resisted, confronting the suspects. A young man reportedly broke into a parked car by smashing the window and stealing several valuable items from inside. After the theft, he attempted to make a stylish escape. However, while trying to flee from a height, the suspect suddenly lost his balance and fell to the ground, suffering serious injuries. The unusual incident forced authorities to call an ambulance to take him to the hospital before placing him under arrest. A coordinated operation between officers from the 1st Police Station of Iquique and municipal surveillance teams led to the arrest of a suspect allegedly involved in vehicle accessory theft. The action was carried out by the SIP unit of Chilean police, Carabineros de Chile, in collaboration with cameras operated by the city's alert center. Real-time monitoring allowed authorities to quickly identify suspicious activity and deploy officers to the scene. Thanks to the joint effort, the suspect was located and detained before further damage could occur. Security cameras captured a dramatic moment at a gas station as police officers in an unmarked vehicle closed in on a red car, swiftly cornering and subduing a group of robbery suspects. According to authorities, the suspects had earlier targeted a female tourist, stealing cash, a cell phone, and several important documents. After an intense half-day pursuit, officers tracked down the group and made the arrests without further incident. Investigators say the suspects are now believed to be connected to multiple recent robberies, and the case is being expanded accordingly. An attempted robbery at a petrol station in Siberia was thwarted after an employee fought back using a mop, authorities said. Surveillance footage shows a suspect entering the station and threatening staff during an apparent robbery attempt. The employee confronted the suspect and struck him multiple times with a mop. The unexpected resistance forced the suspect to abandon the robbery and flee the scene without taking any property. An attempted robbery in Duque de Caxias, Rio de Janeiro, unfolded in broad daylight after suspects targeted the vehicle of an off-duty police officer. Authorities say the suspects approached the officer's car, believing it would be an easy target. However, the officer reacted immediately from inside the vehicle, forcing the suspects to abandon the robbery and flee the scene. During the confrontation, one of the suspects was injured. Police have launched an investigation and are actively searching for those involved. An attempted robbery at a store in Brazil was disrupted after an undercover police officer intervened, authorities said. According to reports, a suspect entered the store, displayed a firearm, and threatened employees while demanding cash. The situation appeared under control from the suspect's perspective. However, investigators confirmed that an undercover officer was present inside the store at the time. The officer quickly assessed the threat and intervened, catching the suspect off guard. The suspect was taken into custody without further incident. No injuries were reported. A resident of Seattle's Fremont neighborhood has installed surveillance cameras in his apartment building's parking area in an effort to deter vehicle break-ins and theft. According to the resident, the motion-activated cameras send alerts to his phone during overnight hours when he says most theft attempts occur. He has responded to alerts multiple times by going downstairs to confront suspected prowlers and document their activity. Some of the footage has been posted online. He acknowledged that on certain occasions he carried a baseball bat, and in some instances a firearm, while responding to alerts. He said that despite confronting several suspects, he has not physically harmed or shot anyone. Police continue to advise residents to report suspicious activity and avoid direct confrontation, emphasizing that personal safety should remain the top priority. A busy street. Cars passing, pedestrians moving. A young woman stands on the sidewalk, focused on her phone. Then, in a split second, everything changes. A motorbike races toward her. The rider stretches out his arm, aiming for a quick grab-and-go theft. It should have taken only a moment. But the plan unravels instantly. With sharp reflexes, the woman dodges the attempt and grabs hold of the rider, pulling him off balance. The motorbike topples, and the would-be thief crashes to the pavement. A brazen armed robbery unfolded in broad daylight in Barranquilla, triggering a tense exchange of gunfire and renewed concerns about public safety. According to reports, a suspect approached a group of people standing outside a restaurant and threatened them with a firearm in an apparent attempt to steal their belongings. The situation escalated when a nearby witness discharged a weapon in response, leading to a brief but intense exchange of gunfire. Bystanders in the area sought cover as shots were fired. Police later confirmed that one suspect was arrested. Authorities are continuing to investigate the incident and determine whether additional individuals were involved. A dramatic robbery at a jewelry store in the city of Luque ended with one suspect captured after brave neighbors joined together to chase him down. Witnesses and authorities say residents quickly reacted during the chaos, helping detain a suspect identified as Diego Ariel Segovia Paniagua at the scene. Police are continuing the search for accomplices who managed to escape. A suspected robbery attempt was quickly stopped when two suspects on a motorcycle approached a woman as she was getting into her car. According to the video, the men suddenly rushed toward the woman, suggesting an imminent robbery. However, a man who was with her quickly reacted, confronting the suspects and drawing a firearm. The swift response forced the suspects to stop and abandon the attempt. No shots were fired, and no one was injured. The incident highlights how quick awareness and decisive action can prevent a crime from escalating. A robbery attempt was quickly stopped after police officers nearby noticed a suspect approaching a cashier counter with suspicious behavior. According to reports, the individual moved toward the register with the apparent intention of stealing money. However, the suspect was unaware that police officers were already positioned close to the location, monitoring the area. Within moments, the individual was restrained and taken into custody before the situation could escalate or anyone could be harmed. Two suspects attempted to rob a Pica Polo restaurant, apparently believing it would be an easy target with only a Chinese woman working there. However, things did not go as they expected. Instead of complying, the woman reacted in a way that caught the suspects off guard. Within moments, the situation turned against them, forcing the would-be robbers to abandon their plan. A tense confrontation was caught on security camera footage after a man intervened to protect his wife during an attempted robbery in Brazil. According to reports, the suspect fired a warning shot as he confronted the couple. In response, the husband, identified as Douglas, exited his combi van, holding a baseball bat, and moved toward the attacker to shield his wife, Priscilla. A brief struggle followed, during which Douglas struck the suspect and managed to disarm him. The robber then fled the scene without taking anything. No serious injuries were reported. Authorities are reviewing the footage as part of their investigation into the incident. A bank robbery occurred on February 4th at an agribank transaction office in Yen Bai Province, authorities confirmed. The suspect was identified as Emine Luan, who is currently undergoing outpatient psychiatric treatment. According to investigators, the suspect took advantage of a momentary lapse in supervision to steal a large amount of cash from the bank. The suspect was quickly apprehended following coordinated efforts by police and local residents. Authorities said the entire amount of stolen money, totaling approximately 50 million Vietnamese dong, was fully recovered. Law enforcement agencies are continuing to review the case and assess appropriate legal measures, taking into account the suspect's mental health condition. An attempted robbery at a pharmacy in Monza was brought to a swift end after police arrested a suspect. Surveillance footage shows a man entering the pharmacy and threatening staff while demanding cash and medication. To avoid escalation, employees complied with the demands while discreetly alerting the police. Officers arrived at the scene shortly afterward and apprehended the suspect nearby without further incident. No serious injuries were reported. A masked suspect entered a store and pointed a firearm at a sales clerk while demanding money, authorities said. According to investigators, the employee reacted quickly and managed to grab the weapon, leading to a brief struggle. The suspect was disarmed, and police later identified the suspect as 18-year-old Ryan J. Wages. He was arrested the following day and is now facing a charge of armed robbery. A shoplifting attempt ended unsuccessfully after a suspect was injured while trying to flee through a store's emergency exit. According to video footage, the man entered the store and placed multiple items into a shopping basket. He then moved toward a fire exit door, apparently intending to force it open and leave without paying. However, the exit did not open as anticipated. During the attempt, the suspect fell and appeared to injure his leg, preventing him from continuing his escape. An off-duty police officer shot and killed a robbery suspect who staged an attack in an attempt to steal the officer's gold ring outside a residential area. According to reports, the suspect approached the officer and created a confrontation as part of the robbery attempt. Realizing the threat, the officer reacted immediately and opened fire. The suspect was fatally shot at the scene. Authorities are investigating the incident. An attempted robbery in the Pedregal area of Medellin ended with a suspect detained after residents and bystanders stepped in to help stop the crime. Security footage shows two suspects arriving at a store on a motorcycle, where one of them allegedly attempted to draw a firearm. The intended victim reacted quickly, pushing the suspect into another motorcycle and knocking him to the ground. As the struggle unfolded, several bystanders rushed in and helped restrain the suspect, preventing him from escaping. The suspect was held at the scene until officers from the Colombian National Police arrived and took him into custody. The incident has drawn attention as an example of community members working together to stop a crime. The robbery began when a masked man stormed into the store and tried to overpower a man who was speaking with the female cashier. But before the attacker could cause any real harm, another nearby customer sprang into action, grabbing the gunman's arm and slamming him to the ground, wrestling the weapon away in a fierce struggle. At the same time, a second man acted decisively to end the threat once and for all, helping to protect everyone inside the store from danger. A robbery attempt in Asunción took a dramatic turn when two motorcycle-riding suspects targeted a woman standing beside her car. As the suspects tried to flee, a delivery worker who witnessed the incident immediately chased after them to intervene. The pursuit ended when the delivery worker fatally stabbed one of the suspects before leaving the scene. His identity remains unknown, sparking debate about the risks and legal consequences faced by civilians who step in to stop crimes. A street theft attempt was swiftly stopped thanks to the quick reaction of nearby residents after a woman was targeted in a snatch-and-run incident. According to reports, the woman was walking along the street when a man on a motorbike suddenly sped toward her and attempted to steal her belongings. During the incident, the woman was pushed and fell to the ground as the suspect tried to escape. The situation did not last long. Witnesses immediately rushed to help. Several bystanders intervened, restrained the suspect, and prevented him from fleeing, bringing the incident under control. The woman was assisted moments later and avoided serious harm. Authorities were notified shortly afterward, and the suspect was held at the scene as police arrived. The incident highlights how fast community response can stop a crime before it escalates further. Police in São Paulo have dismantled an organized criminal group targeting pharmacies for high-value injectable weight loss medications. According to authorities, the suspects were arrested at a hotel shortly after carrying out a robbery. Officers recovered a large quantity of stolen injection pens at the location. Investigators said the medications were being stored improperly, without refrigeration as required, raising serious health concerns for anyone who might purchase the drugs on the black market. Medical experts warn that failure to keep these injections cold can reduce their effectiveness and increase the risk of harmful side effects. Residents are being advised to remain alert following reports of a suspicious individual going door to door requesting money, allegedly for bus fare. According to accounts, the individual initially appears polite but has raised concerns due to his behavior. In one recent incident, he reportedly entered a residence and nearly took a guest's mobile phone while the occupants were briefly distracted. The attempt was noticed in time, preventing any loss. Authorities encourage residents to avoid allowing unknown individuals into their homes and to report suspicious activity to local law enforcement. Community awareness remains key to preventing potential incidents. An elderly man, believed to be in his 70s or 80s, faced a frightening carjacking attempt when armed robbers approached him. However, the man was also armed and ready. When he drew his firearm, the suspects quickly backed off and fled the scene. The incident highlights how quickly situations can change when a potential victim is prepared to defend themselves. Police arrested several suspects early in the morning after responding to an active burglary at a business near Newland Street and Westminster Avenue. Authorities said officers were dispatched around 6:30 a.m. after receiving a burglary alarm from the location. When police arrived, they discovered the break-in was still in progress and quickly moved in to detain the individuals involved. All suspects were taken into custody at the scene, and officers secured the area while continuing their investigation. A brazen motorcycle theft attempt occurred outside SMP Negari Anam, Jakarta, during a quiet afternoon. Two suspects, one breaking the lock while the other kept watch, took advantage of the area being less crowded during the Ramadan period. However, local residents quickly noticed the suspicious activity and intervened before the theft could be completed. One of the thieves was eventually overpowered by the crowd and handed over to local authorities, while the other suspect managed to escape on a motorcycle, abandoning his accomplice behind. An attempted robbery was recorded at an apartment complex in São Paulo, raising concerns about security in residential areas. According to reports, the victim had just returned from a gym and was standing in a secured area between two gated entrances when armed suspects suddenly approached and threatened her. In response, the woman threw her personal belongings further inside the building, placing them out of the suspect's reach. The unexpected action disrupted the robbery attempt, prompting the suspects to abandon the scene and flee. No injuries were reported. Authorities are reviewing the incident. Security cameras from the city of Lima helped authorities detect and track the criminal activities of a group known as Los Octopus de Palermo. According to officials, the suspects were identified through footage captured by the city's surveillance system while they were allegedly carrying out criminal operations in the area. The video evidence allowed authorities to monitor the group's movements and coordinate a police response, leading to the arrest of the suspects. A commercial truck driver became the target of a brazen theft while stopped at an intersection, prompting a rapid response from police. According to authorities, the driver reported that two vehicles approached while he was waiting at the intersection. Suspects from the vehicles allegedly attempted to steal property from the truck. Taking advantage of the moment, the driver was temporarily stopped. The driver quickly alerted police, providing details about the vehicles involved. Officers responded and began searching the area, eventually locating suspects believed to be connected to the incident. Police were able to detain individuals linked to the attempted theft, and the case is now under investigation as authorities gather additional evidence and witness statements. Officials remind drivers, especially those operating commercial vehicles, to remain alert while stopped in traffic, as thieves sometimes use intersections and traffic stops as opportunities to commit quick thefts. Police tracked a stolen pickup truck to a local car wash after it was located by the department's real-time crime center. When officers arrived, they found the suspect, identified as John Graff, inside the stolen vehicle. As officers approached to confront him, the situation quickly escalated. Graff suddenly jumped back into the truck and rammed a police cruiser, nearly pinning one of the officers between the two vehicles. He then fled the scene, driving at high speed and even heading the wrong way down the road, while narrowly avoiding other cars. Authorities launched an investigation and continued searching for the suspect. A few days later, officers were able to identify and locate Graff. He was taken into custody without further incident and now faces charges related to the stolen vehicle and the dangerous confrontation with police. What began as a robbery attempt quickly took an unexpected turn. Three individuals forced their way into a store and tried to overpower the people inside, believing they had full control of the situation. However, a brave bystander stepped in and confronted the suspects. Acting quickly, he managed to subdue them. An attempted robbery was stopped within seconds after a store owner confronted three suspects inside his business. According to reports, the three men entered the store posing as customers. Moments later, one of the suspects jumped over the counter in an apparent attempt to steal cash. The store owner reacted immediately and confronted the suspects with a knife. The sudden resistance disrupted the robbery and forced the suspects to abandon the attempt. 4 young men were arrested following a robbery at a Verizon store on State Route 14 in Streetsboro, police said. Authorities reported that a witness called police after seeing the suspects cover their faces and run into the store on Wednesday morning. When officers arrived, a store employee ran from a back room with his hands restrained behind his back. Police said the suspects surrendered without resistance. A loaded firearm was recovered at the scene. The employee told officers the suspects threatened to shoot him if he did not open the store safe. He said he escaped after hearing police arrive while the suspects attempted to hide. No serious injuries were reported. The suspects were charged with aggravated robbery and kidnapping.
I didn't see a door there. Pat! Is there a door to the van?
Give me your hands! Hands up now!
Come on out!
No!
Come on out! Come on out!
You're sending a mail to Chipotle that delivered?
Affirm, it's a mail.
I got radio traffic.
Okay. Keep coming
Then
out!
come out!
Keep coming out! Don't put your hands
Don't!
down!
We have 2 mails here now.
Drop to the ground! Let me see. Drop to the ground! Drop to the ground! Anyone else in there? Anyone else in there?
Is there anybody else inside?
Keep your hands to your side. Look away from me.
You guys cover. Give me some. I got him. Go. I got you covered. Go.
A man was arrested after allegedly attempting to steal a firearm inside the Central de Inquéritos building of the Tribunal de Justiça do Piauí in Picos, authorities said. The incident occurred Wednesday, while a military police officer was on duty. According to officials, the officer noticed suspicious activity through the building's internal surveillance system. Upon checking the guard quarters, the officer found the suspect already in possession of a firearm belonging to the officer on duty. The weapon had been stored inside the facility. The suspect was immediately detained at the scene. A dramatic police chase unfolded after a suspect riding a bicycle snatched a citizen's phone and attempted to escape. Upon receiving the report, military police units quickly responded and set up a coordinated search to track down the thief. In a desperate attempt to evade capture, the suspect climbed onto nearby rooftops, hoping to escape. However, the coordinated efforts of patrol units quickly surrounded the area, leaving the suspect with nowhere to run. He was eventually apprehended by officers. Two suspects, who attempted to carry out a robbery in Villa Martelli, were quickly captured by patrol units from the Vicente Lopez Municipal Security Team. According to local reports, the suspects tried to commit the crime but were unable to get far from the scene. Authorities were alerted and patrol officers rapidly moved in to track them down. Within a short time, the suspects were located and arrested by responding units. A dramatic failed robbery unfolded on a city street when a man attempted to attack a woman riding a motorcycle. After snatching her belongings, the suspect tried to escape, but his plan quickly fell apart. As he attempted to flee, his motorcycle suddenly malfunctioned and refused to start. An attempted robbery ended unsuccessfully after a man reacted quickly and defended himself during a confrontation near his vehicle. According to reports, the man was approaching his car to retrieve personal items when another vehicle arrived at speed and stopped nearby. Several individuals exited the vehicle and attempted to confront him in an apparent effort to steal the car. The man responded immediately, resisting the attempt and disrupting the suspect's plan. The unexpected resistance forced the suspects to abandon the robbery. In the process, the suspects fled the scene without taking the victim's vehicle and reportedly left behind the car they arrived in. Two suspects were arrested shortly after snatching a woman's handbag, following a rapid response by police. According to reports, the two men approached a woman walking alone and grabbed her handbag before attempting to flee the scene. Officers who were nearby responded immediately, pursued the suspects, and apprehended them a short distance away. The swift police action brought the incident to an end. The victim was not seriously injured, and the stolen property was recovered. An armed robbery in the Perdizes district of São Paulo has renewed concerns about public safety following a violent confrontation in the area. According to reports, an off-duty police officer and his girlfriend were ambushed inside a parking garage by two armed suspects who attempted to steal the officer's motorcycle. During the encounter, one suspect reportedly pretended to surrender before opening fire, leading to a brief exchange of gunfire. The suspects fled the scene before officers arrived. Police secured the area to collect evidence and launched an investigation to identify and locate those involved. Authorities in Iquique responded after the Municipal Alert Center detected suspicious activity near the coastal area following a robbery. According to reports, the alert center operated by the Ilustre Municipalidad de Iquique identified the suspect through its monitoring systems after the robbery occurred. In an attempt to escape, the suspect ran toward the shoreline and entered the sea. Officials say the incident highlights the importance of municipal surveillance systems in tracking suspects and supporting rapid law enforcement response. A man who allegedly stole a gold necklace attempted to flee the area. However, nearby residents quickly noticed what had happened and began chasing him. The suspect was soon surrounded and restrained by members of the public before he could get far. Witnesses held him at the scene until authorities arrived.
देखिए दोस्तों, पुलिस आएगी और फिर पुलिस आके देखिए इसका सॉफ्टवेयर अपडेट करेगी। वेल डन। ये देखिए हेलमेट भी इसके मारा है एक बंदे ने इसके सर पे मारा।
A serious incident unfolded in downtown Chiclayo when a suspect was shot after attempting to take a police officer hostage while in custody. According to preliminary reports, the suspect was being escorted in front of members of the press when he suddenly seized a weapon and restrained a female officer in an apparent attempt to escape, causing the situation to quickly escalate in the crowded area. An off-duty officer intervened and fired his weapon, neutralizing the suspect and rescuing the officer. An armed robbery at a transport company in the greater São Paulo area was brought to an end after police caught the suspects hiding on the premises. According to authorities, a group of suspects entered the facility, threatened employees, and held them hostage while searching for high-value electronic goods. Nearby residents noticed suspicious activity and alerted police. Officers responded quickly, surrounded the area, and intercepted the suspects as they attempted to move the stolen items. In an effort to avoid arrest, the suspects tried to hide under trucks, inside cargo compartments, and in a water tank. Police conducted a systematic search of the site and detained all individuals involved. A total of 6 suspects were arrested. Police also seized firearms, recovered the vehicle used in the crime, and retrieved the stolen merchandise. The incident occurred in the greater São Paulo metropolitan area. Authorities said the situation was resolved without serious injuries. A suspected repeat intruder returned to a residence where he had allegedly broken in multiple times before, this time attempting to steal a vehicle. According to reports, the homeowner recognized the situation and confronted the suspect before the theft could be carried out. Authorities said the homeowner acted to scare the intruder away rather than cause harm. The suspect fled the scene, and no injuries were reported. Police are investigating the incident and reviewing the suspect's prior activity in the area. An attempted robbery ended unsuccessfully after 2 suspects fled the scene and left behind stolen property during a struggle. According to reports, the suspects attempted a quick snatch-and-run theft. During their escape, a brief physical confrontation occurred with a store employee. Amid the chaos, the suspects dropped a high-end Nixon watch that had allegedly been taken during the incident. The item was recovered at the scene. Although the suspects managed to flee, authorities believe the recovered property may assist in the ongoing investigation. An attempted phone theft unfolded on José Martí Street between Montalvo and Madariaga when suspects in a vehicle tried to snatch a phone from a young man riding a bicycle. The victim quickly threw the phone away to prevent the suspects from stealing it. A suspect attempted to steal merchandise by smashing a watch display case with a rock, according to surveillance footage. The video shows the individual repeatedly striking the glass display case in an effort to access the watches inside, causing property damage to the store. Authorities are investigating the incident and working to identify the suspect involved. A robbery at Cozy Corner restaurant in Santa Ana took an unexpected turn when the suspect was shot by an unidentified individual, authorities said. According to police, the suspect was inside the restaurant threatening employees and demanding money when multiple gunshots were fired from a vehicle stopped at the drive-through window outside. Witnesses reported that the shots struck the suspect. The occupants of the vehicle fled the scene before officers arrived. Police later located the wounded suspect nearby and took him into custody. He was transported for medical treatment and remains under arrest. Authorities are investigating both the robbery and the shooting. No additional injuries were reported.